Yeah! Chugga chugga, choo choo. What's up? We are talking today about the Plateau Native Americans. So let's get right to it. The natural resources of the Plateau Native Americans, right here. They had lots of plants, lots of animals, lots of rivers, land, trees, rocks. And you're thinking to yourself, duh, like that stuff's like everywhere. Well, here's the real kicker. These natural resources, they didn't have to contest with highways. They didn't have to contest with airplanes and noise pollution and light pollution like we deal with today. And you're thinking to yourself, wait a second, there's pollution that's yeah, like lots of noise in an area can actually drive wildlife away. Well, they didn't have to contest with that. So hunting was a little bit easier back then because they knew the land so well. Now, clothing. They used the animals that they would catch, such as, and they did have buffalo roaming into the plateau at times. They became expert hunters. What's unfortunate and sad, I actually saw in a documentary, they actually, you'd have groups of Plateau Native Americans known as the Nez Perce. You had different types, different tribes, but they would chase a buffalo off of a cliff, and then it was easy pickings. I mean, they didn't have to do much after that because the buffalo was now deceased. All right, but they used the buffalo for just about everything. So they would get their source of clothing from the buffalo, from deer, from antelope. Yes, there are antelope in North America. So they would make leggings. Yes, leggings. Moccasins, which are shoes made out of a leather substance. Breechcloths, they're kind of like chaps, like a rodeo cowboy. And so it's kind of like pants. You can think of it that way. Dresses, cedar bark. Well, yeah, they still use cedar bark. They still had some cedar trees, oak trees in that area, and they would use the bark to make some clothing. The bark was waterproof, and so it would it kept insects away. So, hey, use what you got. Rabbit skin. And they would make capes, yeah, kind of like Superman, but the capes would actually protect them when, a stiff breeze came, or if there was a lot of precipitation at one time, they could cover themselves. They made robes, kind of like bathroom robes, but not so soft and fuzzy. They used the robes just like in cooler temperatures and the cooler seasons. They would use that to insulate their bodies, to keep their body heat within themselves. They wore basket hats, and they were shellfish. No. They use shells for jewelry. They use bones for jewelry. Yeah, your great necklace. Your boom boom outfit. Where you going out? Yeah. How about my bone necklace? Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna stop right now. Moving on. So we have the shelter. You have an earth house. They use different shelters in the plateau. They use the Longhouse, which is right here. Longhouse is exactly what it says, what exactly it looks like and sounds like. It's a long house. But they used resources that they had, such as some lumber and some grasses, and then they used earth. And you're thinking to yourself, wait a second, we're on planet Earth. How can I use earth to make my house? Well, earth is another name for soil, and so they use the dirt and the soil, especially kind of like sod, and they would make their houses that way. But that's more or less their permanent shelters. But the Plateau Native Americans actually use temporary shelters as well. They use temporary shelters such as teepees, which is what we all think of when we think of Native Americans and their shelter. But teepees were more or less a temporary shelter where they would follow the migrating buffalo, and they could set up a quick shelter to stay the night if they needed to, if they were near a herd of buffalo that they were going to catch in the morning. So, they even hunted when they acquired horses from Americans, from the white man. They actually acquired horses to hunt the buffalo that was often found in the Great Plains. The rivers in this area, if you look, we're next to a giant river right down here. Okay, and you have lots of dams and waterways. What's interesting about this is that they hunted fish. That they fished and they tried to get salmon, and then this would provide a lot of the nutrients that they needed. The trees that you see around are a lot of the meats they had. They used different kinds of homes for their temporary and permanent shelters. They made lodges, they made longhouses, they made lots of things out of what you see around you. Lots and lots of trees. They used the bark, they used the lumber, they used you don't see a lot of leaves, you see a lot of pine needles. So leaves are something that they did not use a lot out of. The clothing, they used the skins, furs, leggings. They made leggings out of the skins and furs. They made moccasins, breechcloths, dresses, deer skin, rabbit skin. They made capes. They had robes. They even had basket hats. And they used shells and bones and some rocks to make jewelry out of as well. High elevation, well, we're at the steps of the Rocky Mountains around us, steep canyon walls, and flat river valleys.